Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ascot Racecourse here on Thursday. It is the 22nd of June, 2023. Gonna look at all the races here on day 3 of the Royal Ascot meeting, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingHit5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. We have 7 races to look at here on day 3. The big one's the Gold Cup, my favorite race of the meeting, so let's get to it right now, or starting off with the first race, the 130, or excuse me, the 230, which is the Group 2 Norfolk Stakes. Group 2 event for Class 1 horses going for a $132,000 purse race for 2-year-olds here. We have a field of, let's see, 16 horses contesting 1,000 meters or 5 furlongs on the turf course. My top selection here, I'm going to go with the number 4 horse, as if my iPad could, load, the 4 horse Elite Status. Let's go 4-1 in your forecast exacta. 4-1 forecast exacta. Top selection of 4 horse Elite Status. Tyrrell Colt by Havana Gold. Carl Burke trains. Clifford Lee gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the National Stakes at Sandown. 5 furlongs, good ground on the 25th of May, and the horse won by 5 lengths that day. That 5 at Sandown's very tough. You need to have good stamina to win that day. But he sat back early. He got to the front end. He quickened up a lot, and he went away with it. He was drifting late, but I think that was because of 2-year-old antics, because he was in front by a lot. But he still took off clear to get the job done. He's coming here to Ascot with a good inside poster. Could be forwardly paced. Probably doesn't need the lead, which I think is good. He could get a good tracking trip, and I think he can get away with it and run a good race here today. On debut, he ran up at north at Doncaster, 6th of May, 5 furlongs in a main race, and he won by 3. And again, from a tracking trip, he got to the front end, and he kept going. An all-around good race. Off of 2 runs, he's improved with both of them. Coming here with a good poster, it wouldn't surprise me if he wins. I'll use him here. I know 7-5 is a shit price. I know giving out a 7-5 and a 5-2 in a 20 horse or in a 16 horse field is ludicrous at times, but I also think the 1 horse American Rascal is your second likeliest winner. My cat's name's Rascal, by the way. He's nearly 17 years old. He's very old, diabetic. I have to give him shots of insulin twice a day. And you think I'm kidding? I'm not. But this is for him. Tyrrell Colt by Curlin. Wesley Ward trains 1. Joel Rosario gets the mount. Horse started on the 20th of April, Keeneland, 4.5 furlongs in a main special weight for 80,000, and the horse went by 10 1/4 lengths that day. And basically, he stalked that day. When the pace melted down, he quickened up and he went away with it. That was probably one of Wesley Ward's most impressive victors of the meeting at Keeneland. But something to keep in mind, I mentioned it yesterday during my preview. The Wesley Ward horses haven't been firing like they normally do. The last 2 seasons or so, like they normally do at Keeneland. I think they finally figured it out. A lot more trainers are getting the horses ready early on in the season. But this horse, he was impressive. He took off clear. He's been training well Keeneland since the last race on the turf course. He had a half-mile drill, 49-1, the 6th best workout, 7, and a 4-furlong workout in 49 flat, the best workout of 7. Here in the States, they do publish the workouts on course in our racing form, so that's where we're getting them from. He's training well. He has a lot of speed here. He has a good inside poster. Joel Rosario is one of your best, pace kind of riders. He can time it really good. He can set the pace if there's no pace, or he can close up from nowhere. And one of the best finishing riders. But coming here at 5-2, I'll use him on the play spot to get into with this race. The play spot for us Americans is the pick 6 locally in the UK, or something very similar like that. You can bet it, I believe, on our wagering formats here in the States. But to recap my selection for the first of 230, it is the Group 2 Norfolk. Gonna take the 4 horse Elite Status. Give kudos to the 1 horse American Rascal. 4-1 forecast exacta. Let's go 4-1 in your play spot also. Let's get to the second race, the 305, which is the King George the 6th handicapper. King George's 7th handicap. It's handicap can't speak. Class 2 handicap going for first $120,000 race for 3-year-olds here. Horse rate 0 to 105. We have 19 horses going 2,400 meters or a mile and a half on the turf course. Gonna take the 10 horse Burglar as a top selection. 10-6 for me in your forecast exacta. 10-6 forecast exacta. Top selection 10 horse Burglar. 3-year-old Colt by Cracksman. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came 30th of May at Red Car, mile and a quarter in a conditions race or a novice race. And the horse won by 2 lengths that day. And an easy tracking trip. When he got to the front end, he was under the drive but excelling. An all-around good race. He's getting the extra 2 furlongs to a mile and a half, which I think he should absolutely adore. Gets a good forwardly pace. He's forwardly paced also, and that low poster up. I think he could get away with it and run a good race here today. Two back in novice race at Hampton on the 1st of April, a mile and a quarter there. He finished third by 1 1/4 lengths that day. He was very, rambunctious that day. He's a little green. He just was a little lackadaisical. It just wasn't the day to win. He really improved mentally with the next race. And then on debut at the end of February at Linkfield on the poly track, 1 mile in novice race, he won by 4 that day. Very lackadaisical early on. He got to the front and he was on the drive most of the race, but he got the job done. Like I said, that last race he really put on a show. He gets a less weight of 123 pounds. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think his second likeliest winner here is the 6-horse Perfuse for Richard Kingscote and Sir Michael Stout. Was a winner earlier this month at Doncaster on soft ground, in a conditions race where the horse won by 2 lengths that day. He sat back early, but the turn of foot he showed late was quite nicely done. It was a little bit of a slow 1.5 miles, but he still took off clear there. Prior to that, on very heavy ground at Nottingham, a mile and a quarter in a novice race, he won by 7.5 lengths that day. And again, he's a little closer that day, but when he got to the front end, he took off clear. An easy run there, and then a Pontefract in early April in a main race, finished second by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He just needed the race for experience. He's definitely improved with every single race. Come to a longer trip, he could definitely win on paper. I would use him in the play spot. But to recap my selection for the second, the 305 from Ascot, it's the King George handicap. Going to take the 10-horse Burglar. Give kudos to the 6-horse Perfuse. 10-6 forecast exacta. Use them both in that play spot. The third race now, the 340. It's the Group 2 Ribblesdale Stakes. It's a Group 2 event for Class 1 horses going for a $283,000 purse. Race for 3-year-old fillies. 19 horses are going 2,400 meters again, or a 1.5 miles on the turf course. I'm going to take here the number 3 horse. The number 3 horse, who is, if I could get my iPad, not the number 3 horse, the where are we? I'm going to get the number 7 horse, Infinite Cosmos, 3-year-old filly by See the Stars, Sir Michael Stout trains, Richard Kingscote gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Group 3 Misadora Stakes at York, a mile 5/16 on the 17th of May, and that was a disaster. The horse finished third by 4 1/4 lengths, did not break out of the gate. He had to be quarter horse to get good position early on, and then just kind of hit the wall late. Since the horse had to be so much early on, that cost her. I think coming here to a 1.5 miles, being forwardly paced, hopefully breaking, I think she could settle well today, and I think she could get redemption for that last defeat. Two back on the seasonal appearance on the 5th of May in Newmarket, a mile and a quarter in the main race. She won by 4 1/4 lengths that day, and she got to the front end, from a tracking trip. She quickened up a little drifting that day, but she still took off clear. It was a good race to the 1 1/4 miles there, and then at the end of October at Doncaster, 1 mile main race. She finished second by a nose. Again, didn't break so well, but that day they didn't really get her to the front end. She sat back early. She moved late. I thought she ran a decent race behind Sea of Roses running back this one today. She's definitely been on, the improve. I think she wants the 1.5 miles. She's going to get it today. I'll give her a shot on the ticket. The 19 horse here, for Aidan O'Brien, Warm Heart. I think she's your second likeliest winner, but she's going to have to overcome a wide post draw. Ryan Moore's on this one, this real filly by Galileo. Most recently in the Phillies trial at Newbury, a mile and a quarter, 20th of May, she won by a head that day, and she had to be used a lot that day, but she was on the drive excelling, an all-around good forwardly paced victory. Prior to that main race in Leopardstown over the mile and a quarter, 7th of May, she won by 2 1/4 lengths. And again, stepping up in class, she still went away with it, a very good run. And then at Leopardstown, a mile in a conditions race over the flat there, the horse went second by 3 lengths, a little bit wide, but she got down the race course well. Another horse, she's bred for the trip. She's going to have to overcome a stupidly wide poster, but at 20-1, I think this horse has a live chance of winning. The quad pot, or the pick 4, like we call it here stateside, begins with this race, or the quaddy, if you would say in Australia. I would go too deep in this one. I think it's a 2-horse race between these two, and I think the favorite's a little vulnerable in the spot. But to recount my selection for the 340, the third race from Royal Ascot, it's the Group 2 Ribblesdale Stakes. Gonna take the 7-horse Infinite Cosmos. Give kudos to the 19-horse Warm Heart. 719 forecast exacta. Use them both in the quad pod. Now the feature 4th race, the 420. It's my favorite race of the season. It is the Group 1 Gold Cup, the Ascot Gold Cup. It's a Group 1 event going for a $720,000 purse, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a field 14 horses staying 4,000 meters or 2.5 miles over the turf course. I'm going to take here as a top selection the number 12 horse. The number 12 horse, who is Eldar Aldarov. I'm going to go 12-3-10 in your tri-cash trifecta. 12-3-10 tri-cash trifecta. Top selection 12 horse Eldar Eldar Eldarov. This 4-year-old colt by Debawi, Rajavari in transit. David Egan gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came at York on the 19th of May. Mile 3/4 staying in the Group 2 Yorkshire Cup, and the horse finished second by a head that day. And he sat back early. He slowly moved his way into the race. He just couldn't catch the winner, who was just a little gamer than this horse that day. But he got down the race course well, coming here second off the bench to the longest trip he's ever racing in his life. I think he could run a good trip and win here today. Two back, he ran locally at Ascot on the 15th of October. 2 miles soft ground in the Group 2 British Champions Long Distance Cup. He finished 7th by 14 lengths that day. He was with them early on, but then just wasn't handling the going. It wasn't his day to win. Maybe just a little bit too... they're asking a little bit too much too soon at that very tough fall campaign that he had. But prior to that, in the St. Ledger at Doncaster on the mile 13/16, he won by 2 lengths. He sat back early. He slowly moved his way into it, and he got the job done. A good gritty performance for him that day, staying well. And then at Paris on Bastille Day, a mile and a half in the Group 1 Grand Prix de Paris. He finished 4th by 5 1/4 lengths that day, and as the lukewarm 3-1 favorite, he just, was flat that day. He needed something more. And the Queen's Vase here, Royal Ascot, last even over the mile 6. The horseman by nose that day. If the horse would have broke better, would have won by open legs, but completely missed a break. Sat back early, but when he had the turn of foot, he grinded it out to the winner's circle. The staying trip shouldn't be a problem. At 5-2, I think this horse could get the job done. I think your second likeliest winner here is a 3-horse. The 3-horse who is, if my iPad could load up. Why is my iPad not loading? It always does it during these big videos, and it gets annoying, when you have to, look at all these races and. The technology is just not there. This iPad's 12 years old, or 11 years old now, but it's going to be 12 years old next April. But the 3-horse Coltrane, I think, is the second likeliest winner. There we go. Andrew Balding's on this one for Ocean Murphy. Most recently in the Cigar Cup over the 2, the horse by 4 1/4 lengths, and from a tracking trip, he took off clear. That was a very good local prep race for him there. Prior to the British Champion Long Distance Cup behind Trushan, he finished second by a head that day. And again, he just missed late, but he stayed the trip well, and then he won the Doncaster Cup over the 2 miles and 1/4 last September at Doncaster quite easily. Towards the end of the season, his form is definitely peaking. His speed figures can win here at 5-2. Watch out for him. And also the 10-horse Jabir. I think he wants to stay for William Buick and Charlie Appleby. You're getting 10-1 on him, which is not bad. And the Al Rayan Stakes off the bench at Newbury last month, he finished 4th by 2 lengths that day, and it took him a little bit of time to get going, but he was getting down the race course well. And then last year, Prince of Wales at Newmarket on the 7th of July, the horseman by 2 1/4 lengths, and again, an all-around easy run. Where things have happened, I think he can stay. At 10-1, I'll use him on the ticket. But to recap my selections for the Gold Cup, the 4th race from Ascot, the 420, gonna take the 12-horse here, Eldar Aldarava as top selection. Give kudos to the 3-horse Coltrane and the 10-horse Jabir. 12, 3, 10, Tricast Trifecta. Use all 3 of them in your place pot. So let's get to the 5th race, the 5 o'clock, which is the Britannia Handicap. It's a Heritage Handicap going for a purse. Let's see if my iPad again could load up. Again, gonna throw this one out the window in a second. $144,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 30 horses entered in the Britannia to go 1,600 meters or mile on the turf course. My top selection, I'm gonna go with the number 27 horse Royal Cape. 27-2 in your forecast exacta for me. That's my top 2, basically. Use them for cast exact combination, small each ways on them. But the top selection is 27-horse Royal Cape, 3-year-old colt by Glen Eagles. Huey Morrison trains. Tom Marquand gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came in the Silver Bowl Handicap at Haydock, 1 mile on the 7th of May, 27th of May. And the horse finished second by 3 1/4 lengths that day. Had a little bit of a tough trip that day. He hit the rail at the top of the lane, and, he had the turn of foot. He got second that day, but after all was said and done, he should have won because he shouldn't have hit the rail. He should have got a better trip around the turn. It was a weird trip. He gets a good inside posture. Hopefully he doesn't hit the rail. I think he could, improve off of that run and get the job done. But he ran his heart out against those Heritage Handicap horses. 2 back first to May, Windsor, 1 mile in a novice race, and the horse won by 10 lengths that day. And he basically stalked. He got to the front end. and he took off clear at the top lane. An all-around easy race for him there, first-time turf. And then on the 5th of April at Kempton, 3-year-old reappearance, 1 mile in a main race. The horse finished second by a head that day. He was on the drive. He had the lead. He got overtaken late. He ran his heart out, but he didn't go down without a fight. He showed some gameness that day. And then on debut, he completely missed the break. That's why he lost. Let's put it bluntly, he lost because he missed the break, but at 100 to 1 also. But he's definitely been improving with every single race. Gets a good poster here today at 15 to 1. If he doesn't hit the rail, he can win. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I think the 2 horse here for Godolphin's your second likeliest winner. The 2 horse who is One Nation, 3-0 Gilbert by Bowie. Charlie Appy trains. William Buick gets on this homebred. Most recently, the Jumeirah Derby at Maidan over the mile and a quarter. The horse finished second by a neck, and he just didn't stay the mile and a quarter. He hit the wall late on the front end. Shahar just got to him, but he ran his heart out that day. Again, over the mile furlong at Maidan, 27th of May in the Jamar Classic, he finished second by 1 1/4 lengths. Again, getting caught in the final half furlong. He ran his heart out that day, and then he just couldn't keep up in the mile and a quarter future stayers handicap at Newmarket last October. But when he gets to the mile trip, he does a lot better. He gets a good wide poster here today. He can be forwardly paced. I think the cutback and trip is what he's been dying out for. 15-1. I think it's great odds on him. A definite use in your quad pot or place pot, whatever you decide to play. But to recount my selections now for the 5th, the 5 o'clock from Ascot, it is the Britannia handicap. I'm gonna go with the 27 horse Royal Cape. Give kudos to the 2 horse One Nation. 27-2 forecast exacta. 27-2 in your multi-race, blah, 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 blah. Let's get to the next race now, and let's hope this iPad doesn't self-destruct in this next race, because it's been self-destructing almost all throughout this video. I'm going to throw it out this window in a second. But the 6th race, the 5:35 from Ascot, it is the Group 3 Hampton Court Stakes. It's a Group 3 event going for a $180,000 purse race for 3-year-olds, which have never won a Group 1 or Group 2 pattern race. We have a field of 16 horses going 2,000 meters or a mile and a quarter on the turf course. I'm going to take the number 9 horse Epic Titus as a top selection. Let's go 9-4-2 in your TriCash trifecta. 9-4-2 TriCash trifecta, top selection 9 horse Epic Titus, the real colt by Kingman. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the 4th of June at Chantilly, mile 5/16 in the Group 1 Prix du Jockey Club, the French Derby basically, and he finished 5th by 8 lengths. He wasn't staying the trip against those slightly better horses. Ace Impact took off clear. This horse just wasn't getting to him. Refreshing way down the class ladder from his last few races. He's in a better spot to win. 2 back in the Dante Stakes at York, a mile 5/16, 18th of May, and he finished 5th by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And again, he sat back early. He moved a little bit late. He ran okay. Maybe he won the mile and a half, but it just wasn't his day to win. Just keep in mind, I would rate the Dante Stakes like it's a major Derby prep race. Kind of like the Florida Derby here in the States for the Kentucky Derby. It's horses that run in the Dante really run great races, I think, in the at Epsom. Actually, talking about Epsom, he actually ran the Epsom Blue Rib and Derby Trial there on mile and a quarter on 25th of April, and he won by 3/4 length that day. And from a tracking trip, he got to the front end and took off clear. A very good run there, and he showed a lot of potential in the Futurity Trophy at Doncaster on heavy ground last year, where he finished second by 3 1/4 lengths that day. He just couldn't catch Augustine Rodin, who just had the jump on him, but he got down the race course well. Coming here at 5-1 with a little bit of cutback and trip, lesser quality horses could be forwardly paced. I'll give him a massive shot on the ticket. I think your second likeliest winner in the spot would be the 4 horse Bolster for Simon Christopher and James Doyle. Over the mile and a quarter at Windsor on the 12th of June, which was last Monday now, in a novice race, the horse from my nose that day, or excuse me, 1 by 6.5, excuse me, and basically on the front end, he took off clear, an all-around easy tracking, front end victory. On debut, he ran a Leicester on firm ground last October, 1 mile in a novice race, and he won by 1 1/4 lengths that day, and abused a lot that day, but he got the job done. Another horse stepping up the class ladder, could be forwardly paced, good poster. I'll give him a shot on the ticket here, facing these horses. But I think Epictetus with the class relief is your likeliest winner. But to recap my selection for the 5:35, the 6th race from Ascot, to Group 3 Hampton Court, going to take the 9 horse Epictetus, give kudos to the 4 horse Bolster, 9-4-2 TriCash trifecta, use 9 and 4 in your multi-race. So let's get to the nightcap, the 6-10, the 7th race. It is the Buckingham Palace handicap, Class 2 handicap, going for a $120,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. We have a field of 29 horses going here, but we're oversubscribed here with quite a few horses. AE's 33, I believe, entered. going 1,400 meters or 7 furlongs in the Buckingham Palace. I'm going to take here as the top selection the number 5 horse, Kingdom Come. I'm going to go 514, 514 in your forecast exacta. 514 forecast exacta. Top selection 5 horse Kingdom Come. 4-year-old gelding by Kingman. Clive Cox trains. Kieran Schumark gets the mount. The mount. The horse's most recent outing came in Class 2 handicap in Newbury. 1 mile on the 20th of May, and the horse finished 4th by 2 lengths that day. He just didn't quicken up. He stayed the trip well. The two in front of him were just a little bit gamer than him. Maybe the high weight got to him. Maybe the slow pace got to him also. I think hopefully with a better, a little lesser trip coming back to 7, more forwardly paced, more quicker pace early on, I think he gets the job done and win here today. 2 back in a handicap at Hampton, 7 furlongs, 5th of April, and he won by 1.25 lengths that day. And again, from a tracking trip, he got to the front and he quickened up, and it went away with it. A very good return to the races there. First start in 2 months. 2 months prior, Kempton, 7 furlongs in a handicap. He won by 6 that day, and again, tracking the leading pair when he got to the front end, he took off clear, winning by half a dozen. A very good run. And then first start in a year and a half at Kempton, 7 furlongs in a novice race on the 19th of January. He won by 2.5 lengths. Again, an all-around easy race. He's definitely been on the improve. I like that he's cutting back in trip. At 10-1, I'll use him here. I think the 14 horse, Biggles for Ryan Moore and Ralph Beckett's your second likeliest winner. Ran here last month in a handicap at the Victoria Cup over the 7 furlongs, where he finished second by 4 lengths that day. And he was under the drive, just couldn't get there late, but he ran his heart out that day. Prior to that, in a handicap at Haydock over the 7, the horse finished third by 1.5 lengths that day. And again, off the bench, probably wasn't 100% cranked. Just had to be used a lot to get the good position. And then prior to that, at Newbury in a handicap, the horse went by 4.75 lengths that day, and from a tracking trip, he really took off clear. Should be forwardly paced here, should handle a little bit fast going. At 10-1, I'll use him to end off the multi-race wagers here. But to recount my selection for the 7th, the 610 from Ascot's to Buckingham Palace handicap, going to take the 5 horse Kingdom Come. Give kudos to the 14 horse Mr. Biggles. 514 forecast exacta. Use them both in the place exacta, in your multi-race wagers. So good luck to all. Remember to join me tomorrow for some more Royal Ascot previews. Good luck, everybody, and follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5 for more selections for race courses around the world. Good luck, everybody.